Hey everyone! Welcome to Mom Talk. It is Monday and today is Mom Talk Monday. And I'm super excited because it is the first Mom Talk of 2019. And I have a special guest. Her name is Marlo and I can't wait for you all to meet her. We've already tried this one go and we were having a really bad echo. So we went to earbuds and we're trying this again. So let's see if it'll work, guys. So I'm super excited about today's guest because Marlo's going to add so much value to you and joy, and her story is probably going to be relatable to some of you and probably someone that you know. So let's get started and let's everybody make sure this does not echo on us.
All right.
Fingers are crossed. Is it echoing?
I don't hear an echo.
Oh, good.
Does anybody else hear an echo? Cool.
We solved it.
Yeah. Oh, well. Well, I don't know why it was doing that, but, well, we both have earbuds in now, and here we go.
Here we go. And again, thank you so much for having me. This is so exciting. It's an honor. I've been watching what you've been doing with your platforms, and I'm really honored that you asked me to be here. So thank you.
Thank you. Well, I'm quite honored to have you. I remember meeting you, Marlo, for the very first time. It was last February, and we were in Cancun, Mexico. We were on the beach. We just finished having dinner. We were all socializing, and it was that's the first time I had met you. I had met your husband a couple times prior to that, but it was the first time I got to meet you, and I really enjoyed our conversation. Yeah. So
I
started following
that.
you on Facebook and like creeping, I'm joking.
And I started following you, doing the same thing and watching your journey. It's been awesome. You're doing so much for women, and that's my wheelhouse. So it just really is exciting to me. So this is fun. Lots of fun.
Thank you. So you and David, how long have you been married for?
Gosh, coming up on 18 years. Gosh, it's hard to believe it's been that long. Yeah, coming up on that. But we met on Match.com. We were actually both married before, and we met on Match.com. His username was Confident and Kind, and I was Sushi Girl. And I don't know, we're still on our first date. We talked for about a week on the phone and then met in person, and I don't know, we just knew. So
that's awesome.
Complete blessing.
You have 6 children?
Yes. Awesome. So lots of blessings, lots of, real life, it's real over here. We're just doing our thing like everybody else, and loving it and growing and learning through it all.
What is the age range between the 6 children?
26 to 12.
Oh, wow. That's a good range.
Yes. So lots of different things, lots of different dynamics in each age group. So
yeah. That's awesome.
Never a dull moment ever. And it's fun because we have a spare bedroom upstairs because some of them have moved out and they're coming and going. But I was just telling the oldest was here last night. He's 26. And I said, that spare bedroom, like there's somebody there. One of them they're coming and, staying with us. And, so there's somebody here all the time. They're all just rotating through there.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So now I know you have had quite the journey, and you have a passion for women, and you have a coaching program that empowers women, but you also throw in there some comedy. So how long have you been doing that, and have you always been, adding in the comedy? Or I have a feeling that's probably just something that's natural in you, and they just kind of like mash together naturally.
Well, when you go through life for so many years, you find, this is what I learned. I learned that sometimes we go through life doing the thing that is the next step. It's the next logical step. I went to college, and then I ended up getting a job in television. I was working in television, then pharmaceutical, and life just went on, and I was just doing the next step. And what I realize now, because sometimes we look at life and we can take a step back and look and see how it all played out, is that I was always doing what I do now. I'm officially doing what I know I was born to do. I always loved encouraging women. I always loved to make people laugh, and I was just doing it. And everything that I do is faith-based. I see that now. I didn't see I didn't know of that back then. And so that's why I'm doing what I do. I was raised by a single mom, so I saw her travel through adversity, and I've just always had a passion and affinity for encouraging and helping women. So, and my mom would actually, when I was little, I just loved to make people laugh. And she would we would have our family over, and she would say, okay, now remember that funny thing you did yesterday? I want you to go in the living room and I want you to do that for them again, okay? I want you to make them laugh. And my goal was by, imitating Rosanna Dana, and I loved Carol Burnett. I just so inspired by other comedians, or by comedians. My goal was to get my grandpa to get his hanky out of his back pocket and laugh so hard that he was crying. And if he did that, but then I just moved on and ignored that. And I just did the other things. And then God put this notion on my heart. Once I kind of met God, I didn't really have a relationship, with Jesus. And once that happened, sitting in my garage one day, the rest is history. And now I am now doing what I know I was born to do and called to do. And I do it with just so much excitement and joy in my heart.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Now, as a mom doing that, like, did that spill into being a mom? Like, how did that work with you working and raising children and having this joy inside that you really wanted to share with the world? How did they complement each other?
Well, it didn't, sometimes the greatest things in life don't always happen easy breezy. It's a messy road sometimes. And I remember, David and I got married, and I had left my job in pharmaceutical. We had 2 babies back to back. And I again, I look back now and I know in my heart, I knew how blessed I was to be able to stay home with them. But you can ask David, he knows this so clearly, and I know he remembers this, that I remember there was a time where I was just there was something on the inside of my soul that was just trying to tell me something, and I did know what it was. I knew there was something that I was supposed to do, and I knew that it had to do with comedy and encouraging women, but it was such a great area, and I had kids running around, and I had just, duct taped the island closed because the girls were getting in everything, and it was just... But I felt so uneasy about it because at first I felt guilt because I'm like, what's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? You have these beautiful children, an awesome husband, and a great life. Why are you wanting more? And, that's a whole different I have a little metaphor for that as well. But I remember there was one eureka moment. I know David remembers this. He was working at the kitchen table on his computer, and I was doing dishes. And Ellen, we had a TV in our kitchen under the cabinets, and Ellen was on, and I just started crying. And he came over, he's like, what's wrong? And I said, I'm watching Ellen, and I know that there's a piece of me that what she's doing, she's helping people, and she's literally just using her heart to make a difference. And she happens to make people laugh. That's what I wanted to. I was like, it's like, what's wrong? And of course I did the passive aggressive, nothing. There's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong. And then but I knew that's where it started to churn to. And then I realized, David mentioned this one time when we were having coffee. I love this metaphor that life isn't given to us, like if you do a connect the dots, life isn't always we don't connect the dots always. We're not given the numbers in order sometimes. Sometimes we're given like if you're doing a connect the dots, usually you see that they're in chronological order. But sometimes we're given a dot that's way over here, and that's called hope or excitement or a yearning or turning in your heart that's starting, or a glimpse of what you're supposed to be, but you don't see how it connects. And that's the little trick that God plays. Like God has a little bit of comedian in him, because that's the funny little piece of life. And the idea is, we connect it all as we go along. But what I find is that there were seasons that were connected together. And then when you sit back and look at it, it all eventually makes sense. And that's what I found for me, is that it all started to make sense. I saw how I could incorporate what I do with my family. And now things are really starting to roll. And it wasn't like that in the beginning, but now I see how it all is flowing, and you stand back and take that look and you go, oh, okay, I get it. I get it. I just wish I would have lived with a little more peace in the middle of it all and enjoyed the other moments. And that's only like small little regret I have, but making up for it now because I have that knowledge.
Yeah, I can relate to a lot of how you're feeling, that roller coaster of emotion of, you know what it is that you want to do, but you're just like, you don't know how that looks like until that moment that it appears to itself.
Right,
So
for sure. Yeah.
In your empowerment coaching, you're working with a lot of different women. Do you find that there's like a common denominator between a lot of the women that you work with?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, there's a thread that runs through all of it. And, you know, it's funny. I was just telling the story about, you know, being a mom and I was ignoring all these things. And I just want to take a sidestep and tell the story because it actually has to do with one of my children. And then it also relates with the common thread that goes through all the coaching that I do and speaking. There was I realized that God was using one of my children. He's used all my children to teach me little lessons. And again, I could realize that when I stepped back and looked. But I knew there was this notion that he put on my heart to encourage women and use comedy. And it was very confusing. And this process has taken about 10 years. But in the beginning, I was very confused. And so I would ignore the notion and I would just push it off and like tell little white lies to myself. Like, I'm just so busy. I have no time. I've got to like organize the spice rack. That's what I got to do today. And so finally I couldn't push it down anymore and I couldn't ignore it. And so I just said, God, if this is what you want me to do, would you please make it crystal clear? Because I'm confused. Mm-hmm. And then I forgot about that prayer. And one day I was sitting on our bedroom floor and I was folding my millionth load of laundry, trying to find all the unmatched socks and pair them. And our little daughter came running in our room and did a backward somersault on our bed. And she jumped up and she said, Mommy, I want to write a story called Sleeping Beauty. And I'm thinking, okay, I don't want to break it to her, you know, but I'm like, baby, have we read that story before? And she said, no, Mommy, not the regular Sleeping Beauty. I want to write a story about a gal who has all this beauty on the inside of her. But in my story, Mommy, the girl's beauty on the inside is what is asleep, not the girl on the outside. And I was like, what? Like that moment. Wow. That moment was such a eureka moment, such a change. It changed everything. I put the washcloths down and I was like, oh my gosh, I hear that. And I've been encouraging her to write the book ever since, and she doesn't want to write it. So that was a little sprinkle for me. Mm-hmm. So what I did the next day is I went to Starbucks and wrote a talk, and it's called Wake Up. And I used that talk. That's the main talk that I use to speak to women. He gave me the tagline for that too, and it's called, based on what she said, my tagline is my mission in life is to help women awaken their inner beauty, their inner purpose, and their inner peace. So to answer your question, the thread that runs through it all is that is just what happens for so many women, is that, I mean, if you just take those three little catapults alone, those truths that we don't believe in sometimes is that we are beautiful. Like I tell women, I'm not asking you, I'm telling you. We are all beautiful. It's just a matter of, was it pushed down or, you know, ignored, or were we telling ourselves false truths that made us believe we weren't beautiful on the inside? And is there a purpose that we are all born with a purpose, period. It doesn't matter. There's variations, you know, there's rocket scientists and there's and anything you can imagine that women can do. Moms that stay home and teach their children, that's a purpose, to love their children. Sometimes it's someone's purpose to just go out and bring a smile to a stranger. We have a purpose. And then their peace, awakening the peace. And often I find that when we can work together, if that's their desire, to uncover that peace element, that's like the hub for the rest of it. Once they find that peace, then they discover their beauty and their purpose. It all just kind of falls in line. So the common thread is that, and it's, you know, a lot of women, same thing often. I find, and I don't feel so alone, you know, once I started really working with women, that there are so many limited beliefs that women have about themselves. You know, we all were this beautiful little child that could, you know, dance like nobody's watching and sing like nobody's listening. And somewhere along the way, some women push that down and they bury their magnificence. And that has to be the number one thing that I find working with women, is that they want to take care of everybody else. They have self-doubt. A lot of times they're so zoomed in to their life and what they're going through. It's my job to help them relax, pull back, take a bird's eye view, and just like start putting things in boxes for them and tell them what they already know. They're just too close to see it. So those are the common threads that run through just about everything. So that's what I reverse engineer my talks that I do, because that's what I know most women are looking for. Yeah,
absolutely. I'm definitely one of those women. That's why I've started this whole journey. That's why I started Mom Talk.
And what would have happened? Yeah.
Oh, I know. Because it's been on my mind. Like last year, a lot of things did happen because things were just placed on my heart. And it's just when you're like, I don't know how to do that. I don't know what that looks like. So it's just a matter of not having it. You can't possibly have it all in place. You just have to follow your heart and start, you know, capturing the leads that are coming towards you that you have to grab onto. Sometimes it's very overwhelming, very emotional. It's just, it's hard. And that's why it's really important to have someone like yourself that is in this industry to help coach women to really figure out that about themselves. That's awesome.
You just hit the nail on the head. If there's, oh my gosh, why did it take me so long? That's what I know if David's watching, or when he's going to say, I've been telling you this. And you're exactly right. Oh my gosh, you do not hear me have to have anything figured out. You just have to follow your heart and listen for that voice and listen for that prompting and do what I always share is that we have a zone of genius. We are all born with this zone of genius. That's the thing that you do, and it's not even hard. It's just what you do. And then there's your zone of comfort. And I used to live in my zone of comfort, which was I would go and feel comfortable. That's why I would organize and alphabetize the spice racks. I'm like, this brings me comfort. I can go to bed at the end of the day and say I did this and this and this. And those things are great. I actually use those things to reward myself now because they bring me joy. They do. But I like, well, David, I don't have it figured out yet. I don't know how to, do this or that. And somebody recently reminded me of the saying, and I love it. It's like, just jump out of the plane and build your parachute on the way down. And that's what I am doing that right now. Because I'm like, I'll start my business. I just started my Laughter, Light, and Love page, and I don't even have the description written. I'm done with it. I am tired of analysis paralysis. My heart is to go out to people. And same for you. What would have happened if you didn't just jump? I'm so glad that you did. And I know a lot of women you've done what you're doing.
And it's scary, though. Like it's that fear factor of taking that first step, but the adrenaline that you get from taking that first step of that fear of knowing the change is coming, some kind of change in your life is coming. And I think that's what a lot of women are afraid of, is that change, because what they thought life was going to look like and what they're being prompted to do is like scary sometimes. Really scary.
You know why? It goes back to some of those common threads that I talked about. That is why I love working with women, because we all have a zone of genius. We all have that magnificence that we're supposed to do, but we tell ourselves the limited beliefs. We tell ourselves something's going to happen to us. Wild and crazy is going to happen to us if we take this step and do this thing. And it's not the truth. But again, we're too zoomed in on it. And I'm one to talk. Now I can talk. I can say it because I'm claiming victory on the other side of fear. But I want to say this too. This blew my world open years ago when I was, ignoring this prompting. And I was, collecting acorns by getting all this information and writing things down because I was getting ready to get ready. I was listening to a speaker one time, and he was talking to the crowd, but I felt like he was talking right to me. So I'm going to say this to all of you. He said, if you are called to do something and you are scared, get over yourself. And I was like, what? I'm not like, what? I said, get over yourself, because it's not about you. I was like, I didn't say it was about me. I'm a people pleaser. He said, it's not about you. That's not why you were called to do this. So get over you. It's not about whether you succeed or fail, or you shine, or you look great doing it, or things don't go well. It's about the people that you are going to affect. And I can tell you that I have had, you put your picture up, on your website, and you do your things and you do your videos. I have had so many moments where I'm just standing against a wall, in an office, and I just like to sit down on the floor, and I'm just overwhelmed with tears and just overwhelmed, with life or things. And my desire is for women to not have to feel that. I mean, we have to feel that. We have to embrace that, but to know what to do to press on through those things, and that we can move on from those moments and the doubt. And, I have had a lot of great mentors in my life, a lot of people that have taught me some wonderful things. But there is one teacher that I had that, unfortunately, it's the one that I believed the most. And that teacher was that voice inside of my head. And it taught me things about myself that I believed for so long, like other people should be doing that. You're not worthy of that. You're so many limited beliefs. And I believed that. And that's why I said, I'm done with that now. And I don't care if I fail or succeed in the little moments. I'm pushing forward, because we need each other. Yeah, that's why the banner on my Laughter, Light, and Love page is just women coming together and embracing one another. We need each other.
Yes, absolutely. Now, you've also taken another big leap in your passion, being a comedian. You've turned your home into a hub.
Yeah.
Right. I would love for you to share with everybody what it is that you've created in your basement to be able to bring a lot more joy to even more people that are around you. Yeah.
Well, there's another great example of, I was prompted, and then it took me years to do it. 4 years ago, there was this push. I felt God just saying to me, you need to build this little comedy cove in your basement. I was like, and then I realized my listening skills were a little, I'm like, the day before the first event, I'm like, did he say you guys need a new stove? Because I hope I didn't hear him wrong. But it was right. I heard. I don't audibly know what God's voice sounds like, but I know what he feels like. And now I know it so clearly and so well that David's like, you heard from God. Like, we're all going to move out of your way, because we know that you're doing the thing that you were called to do. But 4 years ago, I'm actually down here right now because we have a little show coming up this Friday. So that's going to be my day today. But this space is called the Cubby Hole. I'll show you, I can show you a little bit. Yeah. Here's the stage. I'll walk around and show you a little bit. But what the prompting that was put on my heart was to build this area. And again, I didn't have all the answers. I just, jumped. But then I let 4 years go by of self-doubt, excuses, busyness. And then this last summer, I was sitting outside of our house and spending time with God. And it was like this push, like, it is time. I walked in the house. I was just doing the ugly cry. David's like, what's wrong? I'm like, I have to, it's this, I know this is what I need to do. And he's like, baby, just do it. So I called the contractor, and within a month it was done, and we were having our first show. But so I had everything in place, but I didn't have a name for this space. And so I was painting the stage floor, and a lot of friends had given me names that they suggested for this area, but nothing really resonated. And as I was painting the floor, it was like, whoosh, like, oh my gosh, it needs to be called the Cubby Hole. And the reason is that when I was younger, my mom and brother and we lived with my grandparents, and they had this little space in their basement under the stairs, and it was called the Cubby Hole. And I remember, just when you go through life, you're a kid, sometimes you have trying times. I remember going in that Cubby Hole and feeling so much love. And one of the reasons was my grandma, she didn't really know how to express herself verbally, but she expressed herself with food. And one of the things she would do is she would can cherries. And when I would go in that cubby hole, I would just feel so much love getting a can of cherries. And as a matter of fact, that's why the cubby hole is decorated with all these canned cherries. They're on the back of the stage here. And so when I left that little area, I would go in there and I would laugh with my cousins and my friends. And it was the darkest room in the house, but it's where I felt the most light during that time. So it's called the Cubby Hole. And if you look here, I just want to share this last thing with you. There's a sign here. Can you see it? It's the Cubby Hole sign. And the tagline is that it's a place for laughter, light, and love. And the night before, not the night before, but just a short time before we were supposed to have the first event here, we were moving a big screen TV. And the base fell. It was made of glass. It fell and it shattered. And so this glass shattered all over the basement. And I was like, oh my gosh, we have an event coming up, our first event. And it shattered. And we just walked away. We went upstairs. I'm like, what are we going to do? Like there was glass everywhere. Oh, no. And I went upstairs and I came back downstairs the next day and I turned the stage lights on and I had a broom and a dustpan to sweep it all up. And I looked around at this glass and it was just glistening now. My perspective was so different. Yeah. It was glistening like little diamonds. And in that moment, again, it's just such a clear whoosh that, oh my gosh, you need to take this glass and do something with this glass, because like I know I was called to take, for myself or for other women, to help take what seems shattered, like broken little pieces of glass, and turn them in and help other people turn that into something beautiful and useful. So what I did was I swept up the glass, but can you see right here, there's actually a vase right here.
Oh, okay.
And that has all the shattered glass that's still in it. But I took the other pieces of glass and I made the Cubby Hole sign. I put every little piece of glass into that sign because it's so reflective, literally and figuratively, of what I want for women is to take that, be able to have, to take that shatteredness and turn it into something beautiful and useful. And while I was putting each piece of glass in, I was just thinking of every woman that I get to help, that you get to help, that we get to help each other, and just kind of gluing it together. So that's the story. That's the Cubby Hole. It is a joy. We have a headliner coming in this Friday. I have friends through the Christian Comedy Association and around Detroit that do clean comedy. And, when my friends from out of town are touring through, they're like, hey, let me come and do a show. So I get my friends and family together and we're doing our third one. So it's really exciting and fun.
That is exciting. And I've seen you had posted about a comedian coming to your area that's actually going to be in my area.
Yes.
It's like 15, 20 minutes away from where I live in Sterling. So that's really neat. So
Joey, you're going to love him. You're going to have a blast. It's going to be great. He's awesome.
When I mentioned it to my husband, he's like, actually, I think I remember hearing that. I think our local Christian radio station, UCB Canada, I think was talking about him because Jimmy Boyle used to be on UCB, the radio station. So yeah, that's pretty cool.
They're doing a tour. Yeah, it's going to be great. They're going right through Canada, and he's coming to Highland, Michigan. He's stopping in, and he's a sweetheart. So we're just going to have just a handful, friends, family, and just having a good time, bringing some laughter, light, and love.
Yeah, absolutely. Actually, we drove to Michigan last year, or maybe it was 2 years ago, when Tim Hawkins was there. I got tickets for the family to come and listen to Tim Hawkins I can't remember, it was at a big church there in Michigan.
Oh yeah. But we just saw him. He's awesome. Yeah. He just rocks. He's comedian / rock star / awesome family man. He's just so great. Yeah.
Yeah, he is.
Love him.
Well, Marlo, thank you so much for being with us today on Mom Talk. Before I let you go and get ready for your week and prepare for your big day Friday there with your event, is there any words that you would like to share with any women that are watching today that probably have watched this and listened to a lot of what you've said? You probably already helped them and inspired them, but is there anything else that you could leave them with today that would just maybe light a fire within
Well,
them?
gosh, oh, it's endless. There's so much because I just feel so passionately about this. But I was just talking with somebody recently, and I'll share this, that it is time that we, as women, and not just women, everybody, but that we start telling the truth. And because we tell each other, or tell ourselves so many lies, and I just tell the truth. And what I said to this person is, when you're laying in bed at night and all those thoughts are going through your mind, and overwhelmed or doubt or shame, I love working women through a ladder that goes from shame to empowered and all the steps in between. When you start feeling those things, just get a pen and paper out and just start writing down the truth about you and what you know, and go from there. And it just we all have this, like I said, this little child that we bury deep in the basement of our soul. Start getting to know her, uncovering that magnificence. And if there is anybody that needs support in that, I'm here. I love, working with women, reaching out. I would love to, anything I can do to, just help spread that light.
So what is the best way for someone to reach out to you? What would be the best way?
Oh, I would love to hear from women, people. I would love it. They can reach me at, my email is marlo@marlorutz.com. I'm on Facebook. The page that I just started is called Laughter, Light, and Love, hosted by Marlo Rutz. And then my website is marlorutz.com.
Okay, wonderful. Yeah, so I highly recommend you going to either of those ways to reach out to Marlo. I read through your about on your website, and I felt there was a lot that we have in common there. And I think a lot of people will relate to you as well. I actually wanted to, you had said something in your About Me thoughts that I wanted to read out, but I completely, with all of the echoing on the first video, my paper fell and flew away. So.
Oh, no. It's gone.
Yeah.
I'll see if we can attach a link or something, but yeah, that's kind. Thank you.
Like, oh no!
You know what? This is live TV. We're working on the fly here. And it's like, we'll fix it. We'll fix it.
Yeah, no
So, but
worries.
I appreciate you so much, and I know I speak for a lot of other people, and specifically women, that appreciate you. I am so glad that you stepped over that line of resistance and just said, I'm doing it and starting all this, because I know you've changed a lot of lives, a lot of days, a lot of years, and you've created a ripple effect. And here we are talking because of that. So thank you.
Well, thank you, Marlo. Thank you so much for being my first guest of 2019.
We are gonna rock 2019. We're not only gonna survive, we're gonna thrive through it. I know
absolutely.
it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining us for Mom Talk. And we'll see you again next week on Monday at 11 a.m. Talk to you then. Bye for now. Bye, Marlo.
Bye, everybody. See ya. Thank you.